Good evening, and what is up, everybody? This is your boy Batman333, and we have a special update on Season 3, MultiVersus. So today we had the Into the Verse presentation, and it was to discuss the changes and updates and new things that are going to happen in Season 3 in MultiVersus. I know I've been away for a little bit, just, handling some life things and just taking a little bit of a break from the game. And I'm kind of glad that I did because there's going to be some significant changes that are added to the combat and gameplay functions of the game as it currently stands. I know with this mid-season patch, they've made some adjustments. They added some, new things for my particular main Velma, and then they just did some overall sort of like general, sort of small little tweaks with the addition of adding the tech, the auto tech function, that works. So it, and all of that, didn't seem like it was for nothing. It seems like they were adding this stuff, with the culmination of coming to season 3, because with the Powerpuff Girls, sort of announcement, and when they showed the gameplay trailer, it really set the tone for kind of like what they're going for with this game. As a matter of fact, the Powerpuff Girls themselves have completely, their design has kind of caused the developers that play our first games to completely change how the other characters in the game even work. So there's a lot of stuff that we're going to cover, and I'm going to attempt to see if I can show the presentation. So give me a sec here. We're going to go to, let me go here. Let's see if I can get this video to play. All right, let's see. Now, hopefully, you'll see this, but if not, I'll just sort of watch the video and kind of give my thoughts as we're playing it. So, give me one sec. Well, unfortunately, it looks like I can't play the video from here, but most of you have probably seen it already. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to kind of talk about some of the points that they went over while I'm skimming through the video here on my end. Going to attempt to have something playing in the background while, you know what? I can do this. I'll have the computer just whoop up on my character here. Okay, and then we're gonna also change the background. Let's go to the tower, I guess. All right. So while that's playing, I'm gonna go ahead and sort of play the video, and I'm just gonna talk while that's going on. Because unfortunately, the PlayStation doesn't allow me to play anything from YouTube. It only lets you stream from in-game, so.
I'm a detective, not a gladiator.
But essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the just the things that they mentioned in the video. So the first thing is obviously the Powerpuff Girls. So they did show like gameplay footage, and they explain like the real basics on how they move, how they operate, and sort of how they function in the game. For those that don't know, the Powerpuff Girls are going to be released tomorrow, and you're going to be able to play as all three of them as one character, which is kind of really unique. And if you come from the Smash Brothers world, you know that that's going to be very similar to characters like Ice Climber or Pokemon Trainer, which is sort of the debate as to what people thought that they were going to go for. And I'm glad that they went the Ice Climbers route rather than the Pokemon Trainer, you know, where you would have a central character and then you would just have, you know, multiple characters that you switch in and out of. So it's kind of like a merging of the two, but they're going to play more like Ice Climbers. And what I mean by that is that the characters themselves, you get to sort of swap them out. And so as far as the lead character, and for big fans of the game, just know that all of the three original voice actresses that played them, Tara Strong, E.G. Daly, and Catherine Sadavini, or Catavini, there we go. They're all reprising their voice roles, so that's a big plus for you big Powerpuff Girls fans. I mean, I was a fan of the show, but not to the extent of some of the ones that were expecting these characters to be there. But after seeing the gameplay trailer, it's very cool to see what they've done with them, and I'm actually looking forward to playing them simply because it's going to be a different class that I don't generally play, well, with the exception of Marvin Martian, but they've changed him from being an assassin. But they're going to be classified as the assassin class. So what that means is going to be combos, sort of like low health, that sort of thing. But the way that they did these guys, man, they're gonna be pretty cool. So that was one of the announcements. But what they did do is they went ahead and sort of showed us what the characters, like how they kind of play. And let me just kind of skip to that section. So you're gonna be able to get two variants. Obviously the Powerpuff Girls as they look on the show. But you're also going to get the variant of the Rowdy Rough Boys, which is, for anybody that's into the lore, was a big deal. And they decided to make them sort of like a variant of them. But they did announce that the Rowdy Rough Boys are going to be voiced completely different. They may, they're obviously going to have the same moveset and everything, but their look, the skins, and the voices are going to be completely like they are in the show. So that was another big bonus for you Powerpuff Girl fans out there. Now, the way that they started to sort of introduce the moveset, I'm just going to follow along with the video and then just sort of explain as it's being played, because there's a lot to sort of cover with it. Let me see if I can get it to the next section here. And forgive me, I'm multitasking. Okay. So the first move that they introduce is going to be sort of like how you switch them around. And so that first thing that they've decided to do is going to be their passive ability, and it's called Sister Act. So basically, what this allows you to do is switch between all three of the characters. So Blossom, Buttercup, and Bubbles, and each of them have their own sort of like properties. So one of them is going to be like sort of like the hard-hitting one that'll give you like your just really hard DI attacks, for big ring outs, coming from afar. Another one is going to be sort of like the fast combo based one. So you're going to be able to do like really good combos when you're using that as the lead character, by the way. And the last one will be more balanced. I believe that's Buttercup. So the way that works is I believe you're going to do, it's their down special is the input, if I'm not mistaken. And that allows you to switch between the characters at any time, but this has to be grounded. So as you're on a platform or on the ground, or if you're using maybe the airwalk ability, you can be on a platform, press down, down and special, and you'll be able to switch out the characters. And so that's going to be a very unique strategic thing in terms of playing these characters. And it's gonna, I think this is gonna separate the skill gap with a lot of people. Now, they did say that the characters are pretty easy to pick up and you can kind of, anybody can kind of use them or whatnot. But I think you're going to see the more creative players being able to know what advantages and stuff you're going to be able to have when you're able to switch the character, sort of like mid-combo or, mid-transition, from ground to air and that kind of thing. And each of the animations and sort of like attacks that they do are going to be different. And this also plays into their actual...
I'll forgive you someday.
To my understanding, it's going to have a play into their perks. So they've got their own unique perks, that are going to be very cool. I think in the video they mention it. I'm just trying to scan through to see where I can talk about that. So yeah, so Blossom is the balanced one. Buttercup is the I think it's Bubbles that's the combo one, and then the other one is going to be the one that's kind of like the hard-hitting one, Buttercup, because she's like, sort of like the power one. Now, their normal attacks, just your standard affair, but it's going to be different based on which one you have as the lead. So what's cool is their dashing attack can knock them vertically. So you can sort of use that as a method to, transition into aerial combos. Traditionally your dash attacks will just kind of knock you horizontally off the edge, but that's what's unique about the Powerpuff Girls here. Now their side attack is also going to be sort of like your standard affair. You'll have your jab combos, and what happens is whichever lead character is out, they kind of go off and hold on one second. I'm just trying to figure out if I can do this to where it's not as distracting, because the audio is bothering me now. Sorry. I'm just going to put it to where it's just... Okay, there we go. Enough Shaggy beating up Velma here. Okay, let's just leave it like this. Okay. There we go. I was just trying to hear the guys talk as I was playing the video, and it was a little distracting, so... Alright. But what I was going over was just their attacks and how they work. So let's get back to that part of the video here. And I apologize again, guys. I'm sorry I don't have an actual, video to show, because I'm doing this off of PlayStation, and I just decided... I decided to talk about this because the information was just too big to not talk about it. So let me go back to their normal attack. It was just, they were going over the jab attacks. Oh, it was just Nakat sort of doing a gameplay breakdown. And he didn't really go into all of the moves. He sort of went through like half the stuff so that he could basically push people to go to the site and watch the rest of the video so that they can move through the presentation, because it was pretty long, actually. It was a little longer than normal because of all the news and everything that they had to kind of cover. So, but in short, and I should have had like a video downloaded or something to really put on here, but sorry, I'm skipping through it. So on their jab attacks, basically, depending on the lead character, whether it's Blossom, Buttercup, or Bubbles, will sort of have different properties to them when you're doing your jab combos, or even when you're using them like in their specials and stuff. Like they have this one attack where like you throw out one of the girls and they grab the opponent, and it can either throw them up, throw them towards you, or throw them away from you. And that's what's going to lead into sort of like that uniqueness in terms of that gameplay style, and that's sort of like that player flair, if you will. And I think that's pretty cool. Um, and the other thing that was unique about that is the fact that it will affect the play. Like you strategically sort of place the characters in such a way that, like, if you're holding, like, say if it's like their side attack or side special or something, and it has a charge to it, depending on if you just tap it versus charging it, the character will be lunged either just in front of them or like almost all the way, to the opposite side of them, for these like long sort of surprising grabs and stuff. And that's where things got real interesting with, showing off their gameplay. And, there was a lot of questions being asked on things like, like how are their hitboxes going to work? And is that going to be game breaking? And, and things like that. And for the most part, Ajax and the other guy, I forget what his name is, they pretty much reassured that, they should be balanced. They're probably going to obviously have some kind of weird advantage in the beginning because everybody's learning them and everybody's trying to, figure out like how they work and everything. But over time, it's going to be just like Samurai Jack. Like, people were spamming certain moves, and once the player base kind of got used to, that sort of repetitive thing with the characters, then you started to see people sort of branching off and figuring out like how to get out of those particular situations and such. I think that's going to be the same here with the Powerpuff Girls. But the part that I'm looking at is when they're talking about the attacks, you can sort of delay them. And one thing that Nakat did mention is that as you're doing your jab attacks or your side attack, like you can delay like the second one or the first one. I forget how he mentioned it, but it makes it to where you can kind of stagger your attacks in such a way to, to throw your opponent off on your rhythm and things like that. And that right there, man, that's like fighting game 101, like being able to like do that in any of your strings and whatnot. So and after sort of staggering your attacks, you can kind of finish the combo if you want and get to that third hit and, kind of complete your transition on your offense. But what's cool too with their jab attacks is that you can kind of cancel into your specials. So like you can start your 1-2 jab, but immediately cancel and go to like an up special or something like that, So, yeah, just gives them some nice variation on their attacking. So now... Okay, so now he's talking about the grounded neutral attack. He was saying how like their grounded neutral attack is able to duck under certain types of attacks. I know that characters like Velma, for instance, like I don't think a lot of people like use this, but I use her. You have to do down towards and sort of like and you'll be able to do the walk where she looks for her glasses. This actually ducks under projectiles, and in some instances, this actually can duck under certain attacks. Like think about if you're doing this right here, her neutral attack, or you aim it upwards or something. You're able to duck attacks. Like you can dodge Shaggy's sandwiches. Let's see if I can get him to throw. Here, I'll just give you an example. Let's see if I can duck under his normal attack. But watch this. See? Look. So think about that with like the Powerpuff Girls. They have a neutral attack that can kind of duck under attacks. That right there is just kind of like a gamble, If I feel like I know that person's going to do that attack and I decide to duck close, he's going to miss. But who knows? That could possibly change after this update, But to see like that's like a move that they have, their neutral attack, to be able to duck under certain things is kind of cool. All right, let me turn this back off. You know what? Let me just go ahead and I'll get this back into the main screen. I know it's not a very pretty video background or anything, but as I get a little more acclimated to streaming these types of videos, I'll make sure to have something a little more prepared next time. But I want to get into the meat and potatoes here because, yeah, you know, if you want to see the Powerpuff Girls stuff, I highly suggest that you check out Nakat's video, most likely on the MultiVersus site or whatever, because they afterwards when they go into the Powerpuff Girls stuff, they're pretty much just show off like, oh yeah, they show off the new Gremlin stage, the midnight showing or whatever it's called, where they're all the Gremlins are sitting inside of a movie theater with a rip screen, and they did some explanation on the platform itself. So they were saying like this is the first time that they've had a stage like this or a stage design like this. So essentially, what happens is if you're playing multiplayer and not 1v1, there's two sort of like elevator platforms that are on the left and right, you know, far left, far right of the screen. And what happens is it's got a pulley system to it where if a character is on one side, the weight of the character sitting on that platform will make it go down as to where it'll make the other side rise up. So it kind of, you know, you have this little seesaw thing happening when players are, it's more or less a stage hazard. They said that that's something that can actually be adjusted and turned off, or if you just do the 1v1 version of it, they remove those sort of elevator pulley platforms altogether, and you just play in the middle. If I had to describe the stage, you know, if you haven't seen it, like I said, it's got a ripped movie theater, and in the background, you see all of the Gremlins, you know, cheering and, you know, moving and everything. And it's actually, they're animated in the background. It's really cool. And then with a couple of other Gremlins and eggs, you know, the Gremlin eggs that they have are on the main platform stage underneath sort of what looks like the wooden floor, you know, where you would do most of the neutral fighting and whatnot. But what's cool is like as you die and fall and get wrung out on the bottom, or probably anywhere on the stage, all the Gremlins start to like explode with like, you know, like a cheering and stuff. So I thought that was pretty cool to see, and that's the stage that we're going to get in this next patch. So that was what they talked about, and then I'm going to just kind of skim through. They start talking about some Rift stuff after this, and this is going to be right around the 33-minute mark, and maybe that's how I should do this. I'll just kind of mention the minute mark, so you can kind of skim through the videos if you want to, because they don't have it. They don't have it with chapters or anything. It's just a full raw recording. But one thing that was cool is they also showed some stuff about the Rift. You know, they explained how there's going to be like some new sort of like mini games that they're introducing, and it started the topic of like what they're going to be doing in the future, and they plan on taking a lot of the stuff that we do in the Rifts and apply them to sort of like you know, our custom matches. So, you know, they may start doing things like adding the mutators that you have in the Rift. So for an example, like if you want to have everybody to have a speed buff, or everybody to do ice attacks, or whatever it is, they're planning on adding that stuff into the custom matches for players to sort of give them a variation on their, you know, the games when they're just playing, you know, when they're not playing ranked and stuff. Now, I don't think that's something that's going to be implemented right away. Maybe by the fourth season or mid-season, who knows? But it's something that they're working on, and they sort of dovetailed it off of the stuff that they mentioned about the Rifts. But the Rifts this time around, it's you know, it's Powerpuff themed, or Powerpuff Girl themed, I should say. And basically, you have where Mojo Jojo's taken over Townsville, and the mayor's, you know, capital is all on fire and everything, and you got a shortened stage based on the, you know, like whatever the storytelling is. So Ajax is talking about that now, and it's called the Destroyed Townsville stage. Let's see. Yeah, he's just going into just sort of description of the what the stage looks like when you play the riff. So I'm going to fast forward this though. Like I said, I'm going to try to get to the meat and potatoes because the stuff I really wanted to talk. I mean, okay, so wait, let me backtrack here. So they did go into the battle pass stuff. Um, the first thing I would like to mention is like for people who have been trying to get the stuff in the prestige store and you've been saving your points, definitely good on you because there is going to be some cool stuff in the prestige store. They've got like a cool Superman skin in there. They've got a cool, well, the Rick skin that they have is the Prime Rick, which is everybody's been I guess requesting. They put it in the battle pass, and the very first thing you unlock on this season is going to be the Powerpuff Girls, the base character, and then afterwards, they're gonna have just like, obviously the Gleamium and all that other stuff. But there's just several things there that you can unlock, which is kind of cool. So Rick Prime is going to be one of the big ones. He's going to be like the last thing in the first part of the first like 10 tiers or whatever. I'm trying to see what else they're talking about. Oh, there's going to be in the next tier group. There's going to be a Velma skin, her mystery incorporated Velma skin. They showed that in the trailer. It kind of looks like Super Dave or Duke Kaboom, or she's got this like jumpsuit outfit. I don't know what it's from specifically, but it looks cool, and I'm glad to see that they're giving her some more cool skins. They've got some signature emote for LeBron where he's signing a basketball. Then they show off like a Tom and Jerry icon. They got a new skin for Garnet. She's like in a training outfit. I think that one's pretty cool. Then they have they got a cool new ring out. It's like a salt shaker with like little mean eyes or mean eyebrows on it, and it pops out and starts shaking salt. I think a lot of people will be equipping that, me included. And then afterwards, they just kind of go through the battle pass like normal. Like they just have some new skins that are in there. There's a cool Arya skin that's in there. It looks like this is a skin that might be something related to the show. I mean, I've watched the show, and this almost looks like this might have been the training outfit she had, or when she was going into the many-faced god temple, and she was training to be like an assassin, basically. So, and then she's got a new emote. And they've got this fire dragon ring out. Maybe it's Game of Thrones related. And then the standard affair, I think one of the last skins you get is like the last skin you're going to get in the battle pass of the 70 is going to be the Rowdy Rough Boys, but they have a new Black Adam skin. It's called the Justice Lord Black Adam. He's on an all white outfit. Looks pretty cool. They got a weird looking Wonder Woman, and this skin in the battle pass is like Quintessence Diana, and she looks like she has the same look as I don't know if you're a big DC fan, I should say. She almost looks like she has like an outfit from the Flashpoint Paradox, but I think it's from a specific comic book. And then the other thing that's weird is that she's got like a chainsaw instead of her sword. So it's kind of a weird looking skin, but hey, they're giving us some cool perks, I guess, this time around. Now, back to some of the cool stuff they're adding. They're adding a cool skin for Batman. It's the Dark Knight's Death Metal Batman. I know that's another comic book run or whatever, and he's got this sort of like crazy looking like cowl, outfit with I don't know. You just have to kind of see it, but it definitely is very unique. But what I was going to mention is that I don't know, it's not in the Battle Pass to my understanding, and maybe you have to purchase it, but they're adding the 1989 Michael Keaton Batman skin, which is awesome because it's going to be to celebrate the 85th anniversary of Batman, which later down the road, they're going to have an event where we're going to be able to unlock a lot of these cool Batman skins for some of the other characters. And so I'm excited for that, being a Batman fan myself. So now the Prestige store, like I said, they've added some. It's called the Anti-Life Superman, which is a really cool skin. It almost looks like he's got like a white arm, and then he's got this like ripped T-top T-shirt and a bandana on his arm, and he's just really rugged looking. He's got chains on his waist, and he's got the long hair. So that one looks pretty cool. I'm just trying to skip through to see what else they're talking about here. Yeah, and they've got like a banner, for your player profile sort of cosmetics. Um, it's called Bulletproof. It's just a cool looking picture of Superman beaming his eyes at the screen. Now, I'm trying to get to the part where they start talking about the combat changes because that okay, and then now at 51 minutes, they're going into basically like the 85th anniversary Batman stuff. So in here, they listed a picture. He's like Batman's tearing up, and he's hanging out with LeBron, who's dressed as Robin. And they basically are. He's about to blow out a Batman bat cake, and he's sitting there with Jake and Finn from Adventure Time, and they've got like sort of like a Batman, masks on and stuff. So kind of cool. But I'm interested to see like what other characters are going to get sort of Batmanified, if you will. And I think that's going to be pretty cool to see. I mean, I personally think they still should do a Velma Carrie Kelly Robin skin because she's a female character. She's got the red hair. She's a detective. I mean, it's all there. So I don't know, player first games. What's up with that? Let's get a Carrie Kelly skin going on. Now, so I get okay. So I was listening to what they were talking about. So I guess the Batman masks. I guess it's going to be similar to how they did with Jason. You know how like some of the characters got Jason masks, and there'll probably be some kind of Rift mission where you got to wear a Batman mask to get through it. Possibly the event itself. Like you can only get the rewards wearing a Batman mask. So yeah, they said it's going to go live in a few weeks. But the 1989 skin, I think that's the biggest thing that for me, what I would love to get. So now the next thing at the 52-minute mark, they're going into just sort of like the little mini games that they're going to have in the rifts. And this is the thing with the Powerpuff Girls. You basically can fly as the Powerpuff Girls, and it's like a shooter, like Gradius or I don't know, any of those kind of like bullet hell shooter games. And so it's just a side scroll shooting mini game that they're going to add, which is cool. Like each sort of season and every time they do these riffs, they seem to add more and more new little mini games. Like they added the little kart racing thing with the Gizmo car, and they added the mini golf thing. So this is just one of those extra things that they're showing. It looks fun. I mean, it'd be cool if like you could do these stuff without having to play specifically, through the riffs. But what they mentioned with it is that, this past season, they had Toasty as a companion, and what they were getting at is that these little mini games, you can essentially get more companions that are going to be more unique than just the Toasty thing. So nothing too big there, but it's something something cool to look forward to. Let's see what they got else, or what else they got next. Oh, okay. So this is actually the gameplay section. Okay. All right. So I skipped right through what I wanted to talk about, which is this is the meat and potatoes. So, oh, So this is what I was talking about, where Ajax just they went on a really big discussion on this. So a couple weeks ago, I had tweeted out, or he had tweeted something as like something about just look out for the changes. They're going to be big or whatever. And I made a comment to him, and I said basically like, so does that mean I'm going to have to redo my Velma guide? And he responded back with a tweet with a sad emoji face. So that right there alone let me know that that this next patch and this balance changes and just everything that they're adding is going to be colossal. Uh, they even mentioned that the patch notes are going to be like basically a Bible. It's going to be very long. It's going to have a lot of changes. There's characters that have got new moves. There's they've adjusted moves. I mean it's going to be insane. So one of the first things that we're going to talk about is the big change to sort of like movement. And basically what he was kind of going into is like how currently in the training mode, and that's another thing that they're going to be adjusting, by the way. They're going to be adding things to the training mode. One of those is going to be a stun counter or a hit stun counter to basically show like your true combo hits. So you'll be able to sort of gauge like when you're practicing your combos whether or not is a legitimate combo, and you'll visibly be able to tell and see all that stuff now. But they also mentioned how they're going to give not all of it maybe in season 3, but over time they're going to be giving the training mode an overhaul so that people will allow them to practice with the right kind of tools and sort of things to change so that you can kind of put yourself in scenarios that you want to practice and things like that. So, but what they first start talking about is basically the really big gameplay change, which is going to be in sort of like the way you fast fall and when you're using what's referred to as a dodge boost. You basically dodge in order to like position yourself to do certain attacks. Now, this is something that I have been almost screaming for with me using Velma since the beginning, which is she has an aerial down attack, right? It's called, I lost my glasses or whatever. And what she does is she's trying to find her glasses in midair, and she grabs her glasses, and that's the hit that you do. But what I cannot stand for the life of me with that move is that when you try to hit people, you often whiff, or you're not low enough, or you have to waste like a bunch of your meter simply to just get down and use that attack. Now, it's great for spikes when you can, time it and everything, but it's such a slow moving move. It doesn't go down far enough. And what happens is that you get something that I didn't even realize was like a term, but it's called clamping. And basically what happens is like, it sets it so that the character is stationary after the attack happens and they can't move any further. So like you trigger the attack and wherever you triggered it from, the animation happens and they stop moving downwards and they just attack. And, like I said, it's something that has to be expertly timed, and the way that the floatiness of the game is when you're, if you're not fast falling and stuff like that, you're never going to hit it. Another character that suffered from this is Agent Smith, with his down stomp, the attack that he does. Now, you can dash dance and, or dash boost and go down and get it, but it's still the same thing. Like, even if you dash boost and trigger the attack, if you do it too early or too late, he just stays positioned wherever he is, and he doesn't continue the momentum downwards to attack, your opponent. So you sort of miss these opportunities and stuff. And then added with the fact that they added teching, people, if you try to ground bounce them enough times, they'll tech out of it. Well, now what they've done is they've adjusted that motion and that sort of like input with fast fall and these downward attacks to where they're like much faster, almost sort of like reminiscent of like the beta, like how fast you can do like, down spikes and dash boosts or, dodge boosts attacks. And they made it so that like now they hit a lot faster, and they go, they have that forward momentum. And they gave an example with Agent Smith, which was really cool. I mean, you would see it side by side comparison, like where the character would stop and then not really hit, but then the other one, with the new variation of it now, they continue that momentum. And it doesn't stop with just those two characters. It's going to be across the whole board. Like everybody will have some kind of mechanic to them where they can now use their down attacks properly, especially if you've got really slow ones. And this was in sort of their efforts to sort of keep not necessarily game balance, but bring up characters that were really weak and then bring down characters that were really strong. And so that there's sort of like an even flow to things. Now, that's not going to account for the toolkit, because certain characters' toolkits are going to still be a little more advantageous than others, and that's with every fighting game. But the fact that they're doing this to sort of enhance the sort of gameplay engine balance is what I love seeing with this presentation. And they showed several examples of this. The first one starting with like Agent Smith, and when you see it, man, I mean, it's like night and day. Like when you see it, it's just like you could see the combo possibilities. Like I know that I've attempted to try to do combos from that, and I hate how slow it falls down. So they've just increased the speed of like how fast you land when you're doing those types of attacks. And then if you add in a dash or a dodge boost, you get there even a lot faster and even travel a little bit further than what you would normally be able to do. But for characters like Velma or any other characters that have sort of a charging down attack, it's allowing them to move down a lot faster and set up ground bounces. And so with that said, you could potentially use those, do a ground bounce, have, move down fast enough to land and actually use some of your other toolkit. Like I could imagine like doing that with Velma's character, being able to land and then like jab combo and then go down into her down attack, which is the calculated calculation thing, move that she does. And that leads into a lot of, other kind of continuation combos. And so it's going to be interesting to see how a lot of this works with the rest of the cast. But yeah, it's definitely a game changer. And I think that it's in the right direction for this game. I mean, just these functions alone have made me more excited for this upcoming season. So after that, around the 56-minute mark, almost to 57, they start going into Garnet and showing like her special attacks and how like you can use them with this new dashing mechanic. And like I said, it's going to affect like every character in the game. They showed Banana Guard. He can now do like they in the mid-season patch, they gave him the ability to use his down. I think it's his down special, and he does that like dive kick. Well, that dive kick, it was like that is his combo starter. Like they adjusted him so that he can kind of have like a ground bounce from the air, aerial pursuit and lead your opponent into some kind of a combo. But it was such a slow moving move that you could never really use it. And also his war cry move, and those were his things that would allow him to do combo extensions. And so the way they mentioned is like a lot of people perceive Banana Guard as like a two move character because he's vertical and horizontal. And so with adding this sort of speed, and that's what I mean by like they're bringing up characters that sort of are like a little lackluster or lacking in some kind of ways to bring them up to the level of the rest of the cast. And like I said, the toolkits aren't going to be drastically different between the characters. I mean, if they've got whatever they have in their toolkit, it's going to pretty much be that. But with these tweaks to the sort of base, mechanics, it will give players an opportunity to sort of explore more options with the, characters' toolkits. And so it's just going to lead to different combo routes, more player expression, more sort of like combo flair. I mean, the next character after that, around the 57-40 mark, they show Jake. He has this aerial attack that can lead to like a ground bounce and you're just going to see you're going to see a lot more different gameplay styles, and that's what I liked about this presentation. For the most part, if you see a top tier character, they pretty much do the same types of things. Like a perfect example is Finn from Adventure Time. You always saw, the fast kills in the corners and everything because of the sort of like advantages like his combos had. And then they nerfed him, and so people weren't doing them as much. And so, like now with some of these sort of like changes to the mechanics, it's like people will find other ways to utilize those same tools if they were broken or if they were nerfed, or and it just sort of, like I said, it just sort of gives everybody a little bit more variation with their characters. But the branching combo thing, huge game changer, I think, in my opinion, and I think a lot of players will certainly find some entertaining things that they can do with their characters now. So the next thing they start talking about around the 59-minute mark is one of the questions that was asked from the audience is like, or just in general, is would they ever give older characters like new moves? And they did that. And so I think that's why this patch notes are going to be so large, because they're probably adding certain moves, certain characters, or changing things by sort of taking them away but replacing them and then giving them an alternate sort of like function. And an example of this that they showed was Batman. Now, when the beta came out, I started using that character first. And he was fun, and he did some cool things. But over time, I migrated over to Velma just because her toolkit was just a little more appealing to me because she had a lot more to do. And Batman was pretty, in my opinion, kind of basic. You had grapple hook, you could throw a smoke bomb as like a deterrent to kind of mess with your opponents and whatnot. But then and then you had the bat bomb where you can attach it, but the cooldown was ridiculously long, and then they nerfed his batarangs, and then the dive kick was too strong, and then they kind of nerfed it, and and then he had his up special, which is his in short, it was like if you've seen one Batman player, you've seen them all, because they all play exactly the same. So what they did is they adjusted Batman by giving his dash attack something a little different now. He has this new attack where he like... So let me just get to that part of the video real quick. I mean, in the beginning, they're just explaining everything that I explained, which is like, players would do moves the same with Batman. And so the move they added is his dash attack, and he's got these like purple glowing, sort of auras around his legs and arms as he's doing the kicks. And they got a new move called the Bam Pow. So he lunges forward, and then he does like a punch. He does like basically like two punches, but the second and third punch knocks the player down and causes a ground bounce. And it's so what he was explaining is that once you initiate this attack and do the ground bounce, it allows a person to do like a side air attack, and you can just get these extensions off of that to where it isn't just sort of like his down foot sweep kick where it just knocks him away, and then you got to find a way to chase after your opponent and get him again. It makes his neutral grounded game a lot more interesting and unique. And he can probably set up a lot more things from that. So that's a pretty huge change. And it actually, seeing this made me want to go ahead and get back into using him again, because I mean, I like the character, but he's just, his tools are very limited. He just doesn't have enough things in his toolkit. But like you could do like his dash side attack and then go into that dash attack and then cause these different kinds of extensions. So he's going to be all over the place. I think he's going to be pretty fun to use. And then okay, so Okay, so they were talking about his slide. He still has the slide, but what happens now is that when you do the down attack, let me just kind of hear what he says first. Okay, so basically, his armored kick, the down attack that you can charge and hold, they've removed that, but sort of replaced it. I mean, it's still there, but it doesn't function like it used to. So what it does now is like you can do a down attack, but if you do a second down attack, it goes into that. Or I'm sorry, it's reverse. He'll do that new move, but then he'll do an additional foot sweep when you input down attack again. So they didn't remove the sweep; they just removed the ability for it to charge. And then and it just allows you to do more sort of like follow-ups after you do that new bam pow move or whatever they called it. So but in addition to that, they said things like you can use it for bat bomb setups. You can use it for, so you know what, I should just show you from an example. So that would have been a little more helpful, I think. Let me go back into training. So with Batman, let's get him up here. All right. And man, I am in dire need of some Batman skins. I have like none except for this one. Okay, that's fine. So what they're talking about is this move right there. They didn't remove it. They just removed the charging ability for it. And so what'll happen now is you can basically input 2 down kicks, down attacks, and he'll go into that sort of purple kick and a punch where he kind of punches you, and then you'll get a ground bounce out of it. And then it will allow you to lead into things like aerial sides, maybe grapple. They said that like you can do plant bat bombs after you do that bounce and things like that. So really cool. Now, aside from that, I don't think there was too much more that they went into. Because afterwards they were just sort of discussing things like your questions, and people were just asking real general questions, and for the most part, I mean, I think you should, if you were interested in any of this information, you should definitely check out the Into the Verse. They obviously do a lot better explanation of it than myself. And it was neat to see them explain the things that we complain about and address those things. And that's why I think this was probably the best Into the Verse, presentation that they've had as of all the ones that they've done. Not only is it because they introduced the Powerpuff Girls, but it was just like they're giving us that direction of what they're looking for or what they're looking towards going forward for the game. Because I truly think that they do care about the players at the end of the day. The things that we want and complain about do matter to them. And it was, it was just another testament to their commitment to trying to make this game fun. I mean, it's lost some momentum, it's lost some steam, it's lost some players, and I mean, I'm not fatigued from the game, but I've definitely had to take a break from it just because ranked was very, it was such a hard grind. And speaking of ranked, that's probably one of the last things that I'll talk about. Today is the last day of the ranked mode, and I think I'm kind of tapped out. I'm not going to obviously progress any further than what I am right now. I ended up being 147th, plat 3, I think. Still, was that? Yeah, I'm still plat 3 and then silver 2. I solos I didn't play very much of. I just spent too much time grinding on 2v2s that it was hard to focus on doing 1v1s. So yeah, that's actually something that they're going to change as well. So they talked about ranked mode and what problems they had, and kind of like what people's complaints were and everything. And one of the things that they are finally going to address is the ranking points. First off, I think they mentioned this because I remember this from earlier. They said that if you're in Diamond, at least, whatever you if you were in diamond, it'll carry over into the next season, and when they start ranked, you're going to be placed with people that are in that same rank. You're not going to you're not going to be diamond and you get placed with like gold or silvers and things like that, which I think is cool. So like you'll have a faster progression from the the start, and in addition to that, they also mentioned that the rank points are going to be they've been adjusted. They've calculated everything and they've figured out like sort of the math behind the problem behind the math that they currently have, which is like you're not getting enough points for beating somebody higher than you, and you're still getting a lot of points when you're beating somebody lower than you. So they've adjusted that so that if say you're somehow got matched with a master and you're a gold and you beat that master, you're going to get a lot of points. But in the same token, that master loses, uh, or beats that person, they're not going to get as many points. So there's a give and take there. But I do like the idea that they're going to be, placing you like based on the rank that you are with the character. Um, going forward. Now, I don't know how that affects people like myself that are in platinum. Hopefully, it won't match me with like the bronze or something like that, and I'm at least playing at least somewhere near my rank. So that will be interesting to see. And then obviously, because the Powerpuff Girls are the new character, those are going to be the skins that you're going to get for the different rankings and everything. Um, there were some other things they talked about rank, but that was the really big things that stood out. That seemed to be pretty significant. So, um, yeah. With that said, I think that pretty much covers most of what I took from this presentation today. And I didn't want to spend too much time on this, but I, was fiddling around with these videos, and I ended up turning this into an hour discussion. So, but I don't know. Leave in the comments what you think about season 3. What things you're looking forward to, or if you're not interested in any of the stuff here, because I think that they hit it out the park. It's going to be fun to see. I can't wait till tomorrow. And obviously, tomorrow we're going to also do maybe a live stream, maybe break down things. Um, I'll probably try to do the patch notes and stuff if time permits, because if they're as long and as big as they say, I don't know if I want to sit and do like 3 hours of talking on each thing. Maybe I'll do maybe relevant characters or relevant things that I see. Maybe do it that way. But I don't know. We'll see. We don't know what they're gonna show in those notes. I mean, they didn't release anything, and I think that they only showed just sort of like they're only scratching the surface with the information that they showed today. So we're gonna definitely get a lot more by tomorrow. So I don't know, but that's gonna do it for today's video. Thank you for your time, folks. I hope that you've enjoyed this discussion. Like I said, leave any of your thoughts in the comments. As always, please like, subscribe, share, and we'll see you in the next video. And we'll be looking forward to seeing you out on the battlefield during season 3. Powerpuff Girls finally here, guys. Let's go. Peace.
Like it?